This is a big opportunity for the Phoenix Suns as they have the rights to showcase their skill set and compete for the NBA Cup and to prove to fans around the world that they are a competent team in the Western Conference, not only in the regular season, but could give them some momentum for a deep playoff push. So, how will players like Devin Booker and Bradley Beal step up to the rise of the occasion with Kevin Durant being sidelined for a bit? And how will young players like Ryan Dunn really come to life in this Mike Budenholzer offense for this cup? We'll be diving into all of that and more. On this episode of Suns Digest, I'm Bruce Velez. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support. I'm sorry I've been slacking the last couple of days, last couple of weeks. We're going to get back on the way of trying to get a video up for you guys every single day over here on this channel. So without further ado, make sure to keep hitting that like button if you want to stay in the Suns algorithm, and let's dive into the video at hand today. And like I mentioned in the introduction, we're going to be breaking down the NBA Cup, going over the new thing that has been brought since last season. And many fans last year had some polarizing opinions on this NBA Cup, but ultimately, after seeing it go through fruition one season and having it being brought back, I think a lot of fans are intrigued and enticed to see what it can mean for the league this year. So let's dive in and let's look at it. Like I mentioned, the NBA Emirates Group Cup starts tomorrow, where group play will happen either on Tuesdays or Fridays, and select dates will be picked throughout the season, as you guys can see. Obviously, kicking off with the kicking off on the 12th, but Friday the 15th we'll have some. The 19th, the 22nd, the 26th, the 29th, and December 3rd will all feature group play, where the teams will be taking on each other in three separate groups, courtesy of conference. If we want to look at this here, we can see the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference groupings. And as you guys all know, the Suns are in West Group B, similarly with some other opponents. They're with a Pacific Division rival the Los Angeles Lakers, with also other teams in the Northwest Division and the Thunder and the Jazz, and Southwest West Division opponent and rival the San Antonio Spurs. So it's going to be a tough division. It's going to be something to get interesting in. And with Kevin Durant obviously being out for a little while for this Suns team, not being reevaluated for another 2 weeks with this calf strain, some of these games are going to come into play while that is going on. And that is going to be a little bit harder for the Suns to kind of overcome this. But with players like Bradley Beal stepping up in last night's game versus the Kings, and players like Devin Booker needing to take that frontal offensive load, we're going to see a new look Suns team kind of take over, running maybe even a little bit of a smaller ball lineup, which could be key for this team's success. So let's kind of get into that, and let's look at the NBA Cup and what it can bring for the Suns this season. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, but we're going to look up at who we match up against and what this means for the Suns. Like I mentioned, this NBA Cup is huge after the Suns had a disappointing finish last season in the playoffs, and this could be a little bit of a reigniting force for fans across the league. As we all know, the Suns are off to a hot start so far this season. As we can see, they are tied for the number one seed in the Western Conference alongside the Nuggets, Warriors, and alongside the Nuggets, Warriors, and Thunder. But ultimately, this team is going to be going up against a gauntlet match. As we've seen, they faced some of these opponents before, and without Kevin Durant, it is going to be a little more difficult. If we want to look at these opponents for the Suns, like we mentioned, tomorrow they started off where every team will be taking on somebody in the Cup, and the Suns luckily have their easiest opponent tomorrow, taking on the Utah Jazz. As we all know and as we can see, the Utah Jazz are at the bottom of the Western Conference. They have yet to be anything really impactful, with a team mixed up some young players, some stars with Lauri Markkanen, and some players that are in the mix like Colin Sexton, trying to figure out where they need to go, Walker Kessler, even some veteran guys like Jordan Clarkson, stuff like that. It is just a mosh posh of just random junkness, and ultimately I think the Jazz need to go into that full rebuilding route, and they'll finally realize that throughout this season, making some more moves. But the Suns, going up against an inexperienced Utah Jazz team, should be able to handle them without or with Kevin Durant. Now, it gets a little bit more difficult for the Suns as they go on take one of Kevin Durant's former teams, in the Oklahoma City Thunder, on Friday in the NBA Cup, and this is where I think things get a little bit dicey for the Suns. Now, the Thunder, obviously, no Chet Holmgren, as he has been out with a hip injury, a pelvic fracture, and no Isaiah Hartenstein. the Thunder might run a little bit more small ball, right? Might be able to, and that might cater to the Suns a little bit better. And the Suns, with their three guard lineup, might be able to utilize that and be able to get a little bit of a jump on the Thunder. But it also means that the Thunder might be able to match up against perfectly against the Phoenix Suns and might be able to eliminate their strength as well. I think that is a game to kind of really keep an eye on. Then when you look at the other games, obviously with the Lakers and the Spurs, these games Kevin Durant could possibly be available for, as obviously the 2 week window will be kind of away. And I would love to see Durant go up against the Lakers, as we've already seen the Suns take on the Lakers twice this season. The Suns, one of their only two losses being to the Lakers after being up 20 points at halftime. And in the second occurrence, obviously, Yusuf Nurkic playing so badly that he got benched, and Anthony Davis kind of being that focal point for the Lakers in dominating against the Suns. The Suns will have to look to eliminate a player in Anthony Davis without Kevin Durant if he's not there. But if Durant is available after being reevaluated, is able to play against the Lakers, we obviously then get to see that gauntlet match that everybody loves to see between LeBron James and Kevin Durant in a very, very meaningful game, possibly to even win the group for the Lakers or the Suns here. And then the Suns finish it off against the rival in the Spurs, who may not have the best roster, but still have some key components. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama, a fantastical big man who may have not lived up to his dynamic stature that everyone was expecting this season, but is still having a phenomenal year alongside veterans like Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul, who have alleviated some of those pressures off of some of these Spurs players and made it a little bit easier for their team to work as a whole. And maybe Chris Paul has got some of those secrets on this Suns team that he can utilize to work with Victor Wembanyama. Ultimately, I do think that this group for the Suns is a solid group. I think they'll be able to handle the Jazz and the Spurs pretty easily, but the Thunder and Lakers will be some tough matchups. I do feel confident, though, that the Suns will obviously finish atop of this group here. I think they'll be able to finish 3-1 and ultimately win the group or tie for the group and have the tiebreaker over said team that they are in the tiebreaker with to push them over. But if not, I do feel confident that this Suns team will at least make it to the wild card stage. And that is key for Suns fans and for fans all around the world as we go over where they will finish. Like I mentioned, I think they'll finish at least into the group play, which is key for Suns fans because as we want to look at those quarterfinals, those semifinals, those championship, that will only give Suns fans hope that they can make this push into the postseason as well. If you go into this NBA Cup without Kevin Durant or him being halfway not playing for half of the games at least, and you win those games and you come out with him back or even 50%, you beat that Lakers squad, he's fully there for that NBA Cup, and you win that NBA Cup with Kevin Durant and Mike Budenholzer. Not only does that show the Phoenix Suns fans in the front office that, hey, these minimal changes are key, but it also shows you that this record at the top of the West is just not a fluke and it's not just an early start to the season, and that this team is a legitimate contender in the Western Conference, and that teams should ultimately fear the Phoenix Suns. And then the Suns can really, really lock in and realize, hey, we have some holes that we need to fill to be able to compete with some of these top teams. So let's go out and let's address those. And using some of their contracts, using some of their open roster spots, using some of their money and flexibility, they would be able to utilize and bring out the best squad for Phoenix to chase a championship since their last run a couple of seasons ago. And I think that would be key, and not only for Suns fans' happiness, but also for the future as they see this team kind of going forward. Because if not, then some rumblings could be in cause. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel about the NBA Cup? How do you guys feel about this Suns team making a push in the NBA Cup? And ultimately, how do you think that where they will finish? Like I said, I think they're going to be a top tier team in this cup. I think they're going to be able to win this group. Like I said, Lakers going to be a little bit of a tough battle with Anthony Davis going against Nurkic. Thunder running a little bit of a small ball lineup, but I think the Suns will be able to overcome those adjustments with Mike Budenholzer, with Tyus Jones, with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, really taking the lead with this squad and really pushing for the Suns to be competitive. And if that's the case, if they can put on this front through the regular season, I think it will only gain more momentum for their playoff run and only make them more believed and stronger in their unit as a connection. But like I said, let me know what you guys think down below in the Suns in the comment section. How do you guys feel about the NBA Cup? How do you feel about this team in general? Drop down your thoughts. You guys have been absolutely fantastic at showing your support. And CJ and I are very, very appreciative. Once again, I'm Bruce Velez. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out and go Phoenix Suns.